Hi, I'm Dr. Lance Knob with the Denali Consulting and 4% Breakthrough Communities, and I'm here today with Jeremiah Fox, owner of Windsor Terrace Martial Arts, uh, consultant, owner of Della Restaurant. And Jeremiah, the last time I saw you 6 months ago in person, we were standing in front of a space that was a wreck, unfit out, and had a lot of work to do. How the hell did you, in 6 months, take it to a thriving martial arts and fitness studio? All the marketing, all the stuff. Talk to us.
Yeah, thanks, man. Great to be here. Always a pleasure to see you. It's great to have you come through to the restaurant and come check out the space. Yeah, lots of experience. That's how you get there. If that happens on your first one, good for you, but don't expect it to happen again. Failure, lots of mistakes on previous businesses, and just aligning with the right people and moving quickly. Just not thinking too much about things, just keeping my eye on the prize. What's the end goal? Making adjustments in real time for the pitfalls that we all know are coming, and just trying to be quick on my feet. First thing that I did was that I partnered with a contractor. I made the build out real easy and real fast when it's their money too. Imagine that if every one of your build outs, like the contractor had a vested interest in it also. It wasn't just trying to squeeze you. He's like, yeah, it'll take 6 months. And then like 8 months later, he's like, yeah, we got about 4 more months to go. And you're just hemorrhaging.
Oh yeah.
But my guy was like, he was like 6 weeks. And I was like, all right. And it took 7. And I was like, damn, like that's
impressive. Good. 7 weeks on a fit out. That's super heroic.
Yeah, I mean, we were working 7 days a week. We were in there on Sundays. I was in there too, helping out here and there. Late nights, early mornings, every chance we could. And just, when you have that commitment from somebody, that cares that much about it too, that makes things, go real fast. So
now, is this person a partner in the business? Is that what I'm
understanding? He's my business partner. We're 50-50, and he's a contractor. He manages a very large, Brooklyn building. He's a superintendent for it. And so, he's got his hands in it all the time. He's got guys. So he was able to just send the right person so that work never stopped. We did the mats and the wall pads and stuff ourselves. But, we brought in a graffiti artist and all kinds of stuff. And we just went fast, man. The older I get, the more I ask for forgiveness more often than permission, so. And that's something you just learn after doing it a bunch of times. You just go fast as you can, rip that cord. You got to know when to be explosive and when to settle back. And that was just one of those times we felt like, hey man, let's just do it. Confidence is a huge part of it too. Just had this feeling like this is gonna work. We just need to go like Field of Dreams. Build it, they will come. And sure enough, it was like a little mellow at the first couple of weeks. It was like, okay, there's people. And then it just went boom. So we had, there was an academy there years ago. We maintained relationships with some of the people that trained there. And then, a lot of those people showed up early on when we had, no customers and no brand awareness. We were doing a lot of social media marketing, as you pointed out, is something that I'm really into. And so, I kind of just did it on my personal accounts. I've been building that through, my own podcasts and my own businesses and stuff. I had a decent following, and it just started to rip on it every day. Literally documented every, if you go back and look at my LinkedIn timeline from that period and Twitter, I was like, all right, I hadn't been on those accounts from, day zero in a business. So I just documented everything. I was like, today we're, hunting for liability insurance. This is something you're going to need, this, that, and I just documented it all. So that was good, content, and kept people engaged. It was like a different look on it. And then I would also put up updates of what was happening with the spaces and everything, and just try to get people engaged, man. Just be that squeaky wheel. Like, what is that sound? What is going on over there? Just keep pulling their attention that way. So it was really guerrilla, just like, boots on the street real fast. That was it.
Well, so many pearls mixed in there, so much genius. I'm a student of bootstrapping and being grassroots myself. So I know that. I love that. And I know, you're going to weave in so many martial arts, thoughts and philosophy into the conversation today. So yeah, I love, the being agile, moving fast, making failures, all those previous failures, all that collective cumulative knowledge, just, rising up and coming, making this a lot more fruitful, a lot faster. So let's for everyone who doesn't know you, let's hear a little bit about your story and how you've, you know, as a music major and from Nashville, how you've ended up in Brooklyn with, 3 businesses, 3 to 4. You've done some coaching, consulting, and you've now just kind of passed along another business that would have been your fourth. Tell us your backstory.
Yeah, very straightforward. Grew up in the South as a kid, started to screw off in high school, ended up dropping out of 2 high schools, but somehow got my GED, sat for the SATs, got into a 4-year university. This was in the mid-90s when you could still pull that off. I'm not sure if you can still do that today. And ended up with a master's degree in music. Was a freelancer for a while, really like my whole life been kind of driven by this concept of working for myself. I didn't know what an entrepreneur was when I was young. I just knew, I wanted to work for myself. I didn't want to have a boss. I wanted to, make as many of my own decisions as I possibly could. So I did that as a freelancer, which was fun at times. I grew up also just like working in restaurants. So as I got older and started to peter out, less road work, less traveling, settled into the restaurant industry. After grad school, I love movie quotes. I came to New York chasing a girl. Something about a girl. Was at Goodwill Hunting. Something about a girl. So my wife was from New York, and just kind of we landed here together in Brooklyn, and worked in a couple restaurants as I was freelancing and kind of transitioning my life and started having kids and stuff like that. So we wanted a little bit more stability, and ended up opening a coffee shop, a beer store, a couple wine stores, consulting on other wine stores, and ultimately opening Della, where I am sitting right now, which is my restaurant, one of my current businesses. And somewhere along the way, just started training jujitsu. Like the guy opened up a few doors down from me here, and it just kind of started to take over my life. And now I find myself really like starting to exit the hospitality industry and work more in this space. And I really want to like go for it in a major way. I'm really excited. Just kind of like a renewal in energy, especially after being so tired from opening so many businesses. This was in like an 8-year period. We started in 2015 and probably opened like 6 or 7 businesses along the way. The Windsor Terrace Food Co-op was one of those as well. So it's just been like go, very little rest, popped out a few kids along the way, just haven't stopped much. I like action. I like to keep it fresh. I like to keep it busy. But at the same time, we'll talk about it later. Like as you start to get older, you start to get tired easier. And so you have to start thinking about being efficient and not wasting too much time, really focusing on your goals and shedding the things that are slowing you down and preventing you from getting to your goals, and understanding your concept of value for your time, for your work, like all your effort, everything. What does that mean? And it will fluctuate. And how do you kind of stay with that and keep it in the crosshairs? So you're always in line with that. Something you and I've talked about at length. I lost your audio, Lance. I'm not sure if you muted yourself.
Got it. Yeah.
There you go.
Thanks. So yeah, so much good stuff, and we'll definitely talk about, I know that's, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu philosophy of being more efficient, right? And we're going to get into detail about that.
Big time.
And along the lines of Windsor Terrace martial arts, so it's so great to hear you focusing more, right? And actually maybe doing the 20% more and, of what you love and what you're good at, and a little bit less in your current evolution of the 80% and some of the restaurants and, some of those businesses. So what makes Windsor Terrace martial arts unique, and, who are the ideal clients for this business and even the other businesses that you still are involved in?
Yeah, I think what makes our academy unique is that we're a community-driven martial arts academy. I'm not going to prevent anybody from competing that trains there, but it's just not a focus of our place. Where most schools, that's more of the focus. It's more of like competition, learn to scrap, go out, enter competitions, go hard, try to win trophies. Where we're more interested in, personal growth and development, being your best self, health equals wealth, and working within the community. I mean, the school is right here where we all live. Most of the people that attended can walk there. It's that close. I mean, everybody walks because it's New York City, but really tight-knit community physically. And then that's also mirrored in the relationships within the school. So we really, it's not just about coming in and learning how to kick ass and how to, defend yourself. We offer those things, but there's always this extra component to it. There's this extra layer that it's not something we're constantly touting, but it's something that's felt, especially once you enter and you get to know everybody. You feel the vibe. You're like, wow, okay, this is different. This is really cool. These people are chill. This is what they have going on here is really great, and you can feel it in the air. I think that's our biggest distinction. I think our ideal client is anybody that wants to improve themselves, but that's very vague. Our main demographic is definitely late 30s to early 60s. People that want to stay fit, people that want to have that place that they go where it's not just a gym, where they're not just going to work out and lift weights. They need that extra component to stay motivated. And it's a commitment, it's talking about getting to black belt. That's going to take you at least 10 years. So you're talking about a congregation of people that are all there for personal reasons, like personal growth, but also interested in your growth as well. And we do things to help each other and promote that, because there's always people going down and up, injuries, life gets in the way, family illness, family, issues, all kinds of things like that. And you find at a school like ours that you've made new connections. You've connected with more people that have your back, both figuratively and literally. Haha, it's my jujitsu joke of the day.
So good. No, I love what you're creating, that vibe and being able to protect yourself, especially for females, with 2 daughters of my own. I really resonate with that. And yep. Knowing you, I know how you're bringing personal development into things. And I know, just the philosophy of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? That's all about getting better and using your mind more, and some of these higher level things that we resonate with, leverage, right? Just a lot of leverage. So that's great. I don't know if you want to mention the consulting, who you're serving the most, or Della, anything else?
Well, yeah. I mean, I haven't done as much consulting lately as I wanted. The last time we spoke, when we were doing our work together a couple of years ago, the idea was, to tap into the jiu-jitsu community for some of these young up-and-comers who need help opening businesses and starting businesses who haven't done it. But I ended up finding a new path of income where the older, more established guys who's got the business and the money, and they need help with their health. And I'm like, oh, okay, we'll just divert and go this way. And I think it's all going to come full circle. Interesting part about, COVID and especially the way it affected jiu-jitsu, and particularly in places like New York City that had very, very strict COVID laws. It decimated a bunch of schools. I mean, that was what took down the school where we eventually reopened. COVID shut them down, and the owners ended up leaving the city. And that happened to a lot of schools. And now I train at Windsor headquarters in Midtown. And that's like that's the mecca of it all. And so you've got school owners from all over coming through there. But then you have all these, people that are interested in opening schools, especially since there's a bit of a void in New York City in particular, where a lot of places close. Now things have opened back up and people are eager. And I was one of the first people. It wasn't thinking about it this way. It just was like, let's do this. The opportunity came and I went for it. But it was very inspirational for a whole new generation, it seems like, of people that are starting to, tap me and say, hey, can you help me if I want to open a school, if I want to do this? Like, and I'm like, yes, I can. So it's all kind of coming full circle. And again, I'm always just riding the bull, man. I'm always looking for like the path of least resistance, and even more so.
You listen to the market with that. And now timing is going to be part of the equation. And, you also have a big advantage, right, with Mark Zuckerberg getting into BJJ, right? So
I would love to fight him. Oh my God, Mark, if you hear this, I would love a match with you. We can go MMA, jiu-jitsu, whatever you want to do.
Does this bring out some of your, do you have some animosity or frustration with Facebook and the big?
No, I mean, it's been a huge, service to me. It's amazing, as far as I'm concerned. No, I just, love fighting high profile people.
Okay.
Whether I win or lose, it's just fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so cool. Let's let everyone know how you and I know each other. And it feels like we've been lifelong friends, but really, I guess we've known each other for like probably 3 years, right? And I guess with your entrepreneurial web podcast, which we haven't mentioned on your resume and all your activities, you had interviewed Dr. Saqib Habib, who is a friend of mine, doctor of physical therapy, entrepreneur. And, just me listening to a great episode and supporting you guys, writing some comments. Saqib mentioned that we had to connect. And because of COVID, you were doing interviews remotely. So, I was.
It was 3 years ago, right around now. It was summer of 2020, right? Because the show was always live, in person, out of a studio in Midtown. And then we had to go, virtual for COVID, and it was amazing because it just put me in contact with so many more people, and just really, it laid the foundation. Honestly, I interviewed a black belt in New Jersey around that same time, and he really he said a couple of things to me, and I don't think he realizes the seed he planted. But I was like,
yeah, what did he say? What were those seeds?
Well, one thing he said was, everything kind of shut down, and there were jiu-jitsu orphans everywhere. It was really weird. We were all like little suckling pigs. Like, where do we go? Where can we train? And one of the things he said to me was, because he and my first instructor trained together. They kind of came up together, and he was like, look, no matter what, you're Renzo Gracie family. Like, you're always gonna land on your feet. You're part of something bigger. It's not it wasn't a little brush fire. And I kind of was like, wow. And I started to go down that rabbit hole. And now I'm close personal friends with Renzo, he knows my kids and everything. And it just, boom, and that was through Twitter. That was a Twitter connection. And, Renzo and I started talking first on Twitter, and he invited me to his academy and everything. It's just insane, and that really snowballed this whole process and got me a lot closer to where I am. The other funny thing is, is doing this podcast on entrepreneurship. That's how it started, just big, wide net. And then as time went on, it went, started to bottleneck more into thoughts on the correlations and intersections of business, entrepreneurship, and martial arts. And it never occurred to me you're going to be a martial artist, business owner with a podcast. I had my hands in so many things. I was all over the place. I was distracted. And I'm like, now I'm a business owner of a martial arts academy that does a podcast on the correlations of business and martial arts. It's like, oh yeah, that's what you should be doing. So when I got my most recent promotion to brown belt from Mike Jarmillo at his academy, he gave me a hug. And then as he was leading in, he was congratulating me on the academy, announced it to the whole school. It was only a month before we opened. And he was like, he's opening a school next month. Everybody support him. And he hugged me and he goes, what took you so long? And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, you're a business owner. You love jiu-jitsu as much as anybody I know. I think he prefaced the promotion with, when I first met Jeremiah, I knew right away we had a lifer. I was committed to this. You couldn't take it away from me. And he was like, yeah, you love jiu-jitsu more than anybody. And you've got all the business acumen. Why did it take this long for you to get to this point? And I was just kind of like, I don't know, just happy to be here, but it is, interesting the way that plays out. And I never really considered it before. And here we are.
Yeah. Well, let's, and you and I had, we're going to jump into some cool stuff about your vision. I want to, hear what's on your mind, but for everyone out there, Jeremiah and I really got to know each other well through clubhouse rooms. Jeremiah had lots of rooms. His mentor had rooms. I still have a room, on Thursdays at noon. Check out the hot seat, and you can be featured yourself or be part of the expert panel. And masterminds, right? You were part of Denali and my mastermind with Dr. Lanil and some amazing people. So it's been a fun ride. So let's tap into your vision in the long term. What is long term? Speaking of Lanil,
did you get some strange text messages from him this week? I'm like, did somebody hack your phone or?
No, I did not. He got hacked. He must have got hacked.
It was odd. I was just out of the blue. It was weird. But anyways, so vision, since we've been talking.
you personally, your businesses, and then
Yeah.
let's weave it into the headline, right? How do you look at it with this investment of time and resources
Totally.
into success and outcomes?
Yeah, when you and I started doing the masterminds, it was a time when I was really just starting to think about a lot of this stuff. I'd been in business for myself, but definitely like elementary. Not thinking big picture at all. Just always open like really creative businesses. Very personalized, and Hannah and I were talking about it earlier. Like always followed my passions and did things that I was passionate about. So it was just like throwing stuff out into the universe and trying it out. But then this idea of like scalability came, in front of me, and I'm like, wow, that sounds good. I would like that, especially my kids were getting older and wanted more time, and my wife and I needed more time for myself, or, self-care and maintenance and stuff like that. So that seemed like a really great notion. And you and I started to talk about it, and it was very broad. It was like, I'm sure you remember, like, I want to do this, I want that, I want this, I wanted everything. I wanted the world, Mom, And after getting knocked around for several years, I mean, I feel like COVID aged me like, fast. I'm sure a lot of people say that, but I kind of just had my head down and worked through it all. And now like the dust is kind of settled, and I'm coming out and I'm like, oh my God, I feel older, man. I feel like much older than the 3 years that it took. I like that, Lance. I'm going to try to use that later. But yeah, I had to slow down a little bit, and that just made me think a lot more about what I really wanted. The main points were like, I wanted to work for myself. But this just increasing necessity for efficiency. I will say this, the restaurant industry can be efficient. It is often not. and it's really hard to correct that. It takes, it's exhausting trying to correct that. And then do you have any energy if you finally pull it off? But I've always had my hands in a lot of things. And so getting into this industry, I'm starting to see like, wow, there's this really efficient path over here. And, I've talked about scaling a lot, and the idea of scaling restaurants just was not, it turned me off. I was like, I know I could do it. I had the blueprint in my head. I was like, I just don't want to. I feel like I will be a shell of myself at the end of it all. I heard a quote the other day. I can't remember who it was, but like famous business personality. And they said, the only people that are going to remember that you stayed late at work are your kids. And I was like, damn, so I've got this constant thing, in my head. I want to be there for my family. I want to be there for my community. I want to service all these things that are inside of me. I want to fulfill a bunch of these things. And I'm not so particular and locked in on like, it's got to be this way, because I'm always, feeling everything out. But then there's this like clear path, and it looks really efficient. And when I think about scaling academies and like opening multiple academies, all of a sudden I'm like super excited again. And I don't have that kind of like, oh, I'm tired bird kind of mentality. I'm like, I feel like a kid again. And I'm like, dude, this is awesome. And I'm looking at the industry. I'm really getting inside of it. And I'm like, they take care of old people in this industry. I'm like, I want, my dad had a stroke last year, and that just one of those personal things, man, that just hit me, it really made me stop and think, because he's not very old to have, to be, so he's recuperated tremendously. I mean, what a blessing. I mean, it's mind blowing how well he, how much he gained back. But there was that period where I was just like, I have to think really hard about what I'm doing. I need to, draw a line in the sand right now and make some decisions. And so, I'm working with this industry and seeing how it's playing out. And I'm like, my God, these are green pastures, man. So really the vision right now is to exit hospitality just altogether. We talked about this when Hot Seat came to the entrepreneurial web. And I was like, I don't know, do I want to keep like the involvement in the wine store and the restaurant and do this martial arts thing? And it's all, and I just, in the last 6 months, I'm like, no, I don't need that, man. I don't need all that in my life. There was a point where it brought me tremendous value, and I felt like what the effort I was putting into it was coming back, and in a very fair way. And at this point in my life, I'm like, I don't feel that way anymore, and I'm constantly reminded of that. And then on the other side, I've got this thing that's just really, really reaping benefits, and it just makes me feel amazing. And it appears as if it will offer me the lifestyle that I'm really looking forward to and have worked so hard to achieve. I was talking to Tony D recently, and he's like listening to me say all this stuff. We just talk on the phone. I don't know if you follow it, but man, he just did a massive business scaling seminar in Virginia Beach with Magic Johnson as a co-host, and like,
oh no, I didn't
dude,
see that.
he went in. Wait, man, he's gonna do more of them. You and I should go down, and
1,000%.
we would have a great time. But I was just talking to him on the phone, and he was like, you're making it. And I'm, what do you mean? And he's like, you're finally getting to that point, man. He's like, you're making it. You don't see it, but you're there. You put in the work. That it's clear to you now. You've made so many of the mistakes that you're just like, you're able to dodge them. He's like, you're really getting to that point of efficiency. And to get to hear that from him, because he's always like, you have to work more. You need to do more. Not deep enough. More. And it just, for that 1 second to like get that pat on the back, I was like,
so gratifying.
I was like, man, is this happening? So you need that too, which is another just plug for like, have a consultant, have a coach, have somebody you can bounce these ideas off, because when you're alone, when you're the last person as a business owner and entrepreneur where everything falls on you, and you look behind you and there's like just a wall, you're like, oh man, that feels very, very uncomfortable, and it creates all kinds of anxiety and fear, and that will slow you down when these opportunities come up. And again, one of the reasons why this works so well is because we just had so much confidence. We didn't think too much about it. We just went, and it just went shabam, like that. So have that person there that will kick your ass when they need to, and say, no, man, you're not quite there yet. But that will also be like, you just hit a point, my man. That was a big jump up the ladder. So it seems like I built the foundation solid enough that now as I grow and add these things on, I have some mobility. I have some wiggle room. I can make these adjustments. And I just want to see the building go up, man. That's it. Yeah. That's all I really care about.
Well, it seems like you're really getting a lot of clarity on your vision, and even with hard choices like exiting hospitality. But yeah, all your passions and skills have aligned with a business in martial arts. And
right.
That's beautiful.
I still I'm like, to hear you say that, I'm like, really? Is this really what's happening? And it is.
And fitness and personal and professional development. You're bringing it all together.
All together. I know. It's wild. I'm just like, okay, all right, this is what we're doing. And I'm having an amazing time doing it. It's just so much fun, man. So I'm just looking at the things in my life. It's like, if you liken it to diet, it's like, okay, I eat this and I feel terrible. I eat this and I feel good. It's kind of the same thing. I'm like, man, these things are really starting to weigh on me heavy. And it's just not yielding the result that it once did, or the result that I now need. Because, I'm changing as a person, I'm growing as a person, and looking for like the good foodstuffs.
Well, the fitness industry is a couple notches down from restaurant. It's not 100% weekend evenings, but it is 7 days a week.
Sure. So I don't mind that. I love to work. I love to have my hands in it all the time. But your ability you just talk about efficiency, and you probably experienced this in a similar fashion in the physical therapy space. It's like, I can have one person there, and it doesn't matter if 2 people show up or 50 people show up. That same instructor can accommodate that big of a fluctuation in size. That at the restaurant is the difference between, like $1,000 labor bill for the night, or like a $5,000 labor bill for the night. It can fluctuate that greatly. You don't have the wiggle room to be like in the moment, oh, we're getting a lot of people. Now I wrote more people in. That's very inefficient, just that alone. And that's just one component. We're not talking about purchasing food. We're not talking about making food, all the other things. And this is just, it's got so many perks to it as far as that goes. And I've been down in the trenches so long, it's just kind of shocking to me. I'm like, wow, this is great. And then maybe other people don't feel that way, but for me, it's like one man's garbage is another man's treasure. I'm like, this is amazing, So
I can't wait for you to bring it down, expand down to South Jersey. So what's your anything?
So next move. Yeah, my brother and I, he's just outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. He's a lifelong martial artist himself and a great instructor. He was a wrestling coach for a long time, and he has all the skill sets, and he's, very good at business. He's a sales manager I don't know if he's still with ADT, but he's been a regional manager. He's done a ton of stuff. But, same thing, just business and martial arts. We're looking at some real estate possibly down in that area because it's expanding really, really fast, and things are still cheap. You can get in. His wife's family are all in contracting and construction and build out and flipping houses. So again, just making those alignments, and he's the one that brought it up to me. I kind of left the South though, 25 years ago and was like, see ya. And now I'm kind of like, we could dabble, we could play, we could date again. So that would be a likely next move. Maybe somewhere in like the Jersey, Pennsylvania, upstate New York area,
New York, Pennsylvania, we got Matt Falvey to tap into with his network.
Well, I meant, if you think that didn't cross my mind, so that this is just it. It comes down to these relationships that I'm building and who can you align yourself with. And just, you have to put yourself out there. You have to try and not worry about it, and not, don't be afraid of failure. Like you're going to, it's likely not all of them are going to work out, but you still just keep building, man. You still keep going and growing. I mean, talk to Tony, how many restaurants does he close? And he's amazing at it. It still just happens. You have to part ways with them sometimes.
It's all growth. It's not failure. It's just growth.
Yeah. So it's not linear.
Oh, so good. I'm reading Ben Hardy's new book right now, 10X is easier than 2X. And exactly. Yeah. You've just made a 10X transformation. I love it. So I know
that's what it feels like.
Yeah. So I know we touched on a little bit of the marketing for you to get this hockey stick type growth, but for, beginners like me or intermediates or even experts in the social media world, the social media marketing world, any other specifics you can share with people at those various levels?
So one thing that we did that was strategic was just running an Instagram ad. We did a soft opening around Christmas time, just with previous students, people we've been working with, and got them in. We wanted to do some run throughs, make sure all the bells and whistles were in place. And once we saw that was clear, we opened on January 2nd officially. We started, I just on my phone here, I made probably a 15-second video piece of content with Premiere Rush, which is like $5 a month for editing video on your phone. Put some music behind it, just quick clips of everything we do, where we're at, yada yada, with the simple caption of start your year off strong, get in shape, New Year's resolutions, whatever. And ran maybe a $200 or $300 geographic based Instagram ad and Facebook ad, just within a maybe 2.5 or 3 mile radius of where we're at. And man, the yield on that thing. Oh my God. My partner he's not on social media at all. He's a contractor. He builds things and puts things together. He's really good at jiu-jitsu too, and a great guy, but he's just not involved in that business kind of stuff. And he was like, where are all these people coming from? We were just getting emails, and we don't even have a phone. Everything has been digital, and we couldn't keep up with the volume. And as soon as the ad ran out, it was like a 2-week run, I think. It kind of petered down a little bit. And he goes, where'd all those emails go? And I was like, well, the ad ran out. And he was like, whoa, like that was amazing. It was a 15-second ad. It was a 15-second video that took me, I'm kind of savvy with it at this point, but it probably took me about 15 minutes to make. So from a technical standpoint, that was just a great move. If you do something like that digitally, it's not always going to be geographic based, but for us, it was. So you just need to figure out, how are you trying to reach these people? Are you trying to send them to your website? For us, we want them walking into our physical space. So it was really important for us to do the geographic thing. And again, we're in New York City where everybody walks. You can't go too far because they're like, I ain't walking that far. But if you want to direct people to your website, or you want to send people to, your email listserv, things like that, just figure that out. And a short run, it's not a huge commitment. You're not going to break the bank with $200 in marketing. That's an easy run. So that's a good idea. It could be a picture, it could be a caption, or it could be a video, whatever you are comfortable with. I would say that. And the other thing is just make some noise, throw it out there. My wife she's a high school city math teacher, and one of her students the other day said, your husband makes so much content. He's on my For You page all the time on TikTok. Like, I don't follow her. She doesn't follow me, but she sees my stuff. And my wife kind of thinks it's creepy. She thinks it's weird. And I'm like, no, the point is just get it out there. They can't come to you. They can't find you if they don't know about you. So you just need to put out content. You just need to just like the water gun soaker in the, in the sports complex, just shoot it out there. Don't worry about what it looks like. You'll get feedback on what's good and what's not, and kind of base it off that, but just throw stuff out to the universe. People need to know you're there. If they don't know you're there, they can't help you and you can't help them.
I love it. Make some noise. So good. So much good advice in there. Generating leads and getting new clients is generally speaking, the most common pain point that I hear people talking about. So you shared some really good stuff. And and
even since that ad ran out, I mean, we kept up just regular social media, but we still are like in this phase. It's been 5 months, almost 6 months, where we're like still struggle to keep up with the leads sometimes. And they're either just walking in or reaching out through DMs or email. And we're very specific about channeling people. Go to the website, go to here, go to this, go to that, like just a couple of places where we can track them. We can see where they're coming from. Like, how did you find us? That's really important. Figure out what are the top 3 ways people are finding you? And that's where you're going to put your money for now, and then reassess in 6 months or in 12 months. If it's the same, great, keep doing it. If something's changed, make that adjustment, but know how people are getting in touch with you. No ads or anything right now. And we're like, can we keep up with this growth? It's awesome.
Yeah. Now that you have more people, you can tap into that rave experience and those referrals, right?
Yeah, exactly. We're just scratching the surface. We haven't done any of that yet. So yes, there's just so much room. There's so much headroom. But it just feels great to experience. I've been on Clubhouse countless times saying these things and suggesting it to other people. But it just feels great when you do it for yourself and it works. And you're like, okay, I might know what I'm talking about a little bit here.
Oh man, I'm so happy that it's all feeling so good, and you're obviously doing what you're meant to be. So I want you to let everybody know how they can get in touch with you, how they can follow, come dine with Della, come to Windsor Terrace.
Come to Della while you can before I leave. We're in the Windsor Terrace neighborhood in Brooklyn. We're right on the F and the G at Fort Hamilton, directly above the station. Several, wine store I'm involved in right here. Della's right here. The Academy's right here as well. So you can just make an evening out of it. Come and train, then you come and get some food, get a bottle of wine to take home. What more could you ask for? Does life get any better? I mean, seriously, people, I am offering happiness. I'm saying it's at a fair price too.
Sign me up for that, my friend.
Yeah. And then social media, I'm on Instagram. Jeremiah is my handle there. Facebook, just my name. That's where most of the content's been going. The Academy and the restaurant are on both of those as well. Do a lot on TikTok, same Instagram, same handle as my Instagram account. I love video. I really do a lot of content with videos. I do pictures as well and some captions, but I really enjoy video. So I do a lot of video content. So TikTok was a natural move for me. And there's just a lot of fitness stuff on there. Doing a lot less on LinkedIn and Twitter these days. Again, just assessing where, for a while, for 3 years, 4 years, I was just hammering it everywhere as much as I can. Lance can attest. I was like a content machine. And now I'm just looking at where I'm getting the most feedback. Where am I really getting leads? Where am I getting the kind of connections and stuff that really, appeal to me and are easy, and it's Facebook and Instagram. So yeah, Zuckerberg, I don't want to hurt you. I just love to tussle around, have some fun, see where you at, buddy. Been training, just test the waters. But no, social media has been great for me. The fact that it's pretty much free unless you pay for ads. Nobody should be complaining. Use it, get on there, and just hammer loud.
Yeah. Oh man, I love it, Jeremiah. And Hannah, who you mentioned, Hannah Hernandez behind the scenes. She's fantastic, and she just posted some or all of the links. So depending on where you're watching this, check that out. Jeremiah, so good to see you. Thanks for sharing all of this gold. We'll definitely be in touch, my friend. I'll be up to see you soon.
Always a pleasure, man. Anytime.
Okay. Thanks everybody for listening. Talk soon.